Hello and welcome back to the Loyal Sun Show. That's at the Loyal Suns on all your social medias. Follow us there and follow us here for Pitt sports content you won't want to miss. If you love basketball season but hate the Greenbrier and also Pitt football right now, this is the place for you. The Loyal Sun Show, a safe, sunshiny place for your Pitt Athletics fix. Squid, the Pitt basketball Panthers are sitting at 6-1 after 7 games of play. The Pitt football Panthers are sitting at 7-4 with 4 straight losses, the most recent to Louisville in embarrassing fashion. Before we have to give our obligatory remarks on that team, how you feeling?
Honestly, I think it's a good thing the Pitt basketball team lost to Wisconsin. Maybe starting 7-0 is a bad omen.
Wow. Didn't even think about that. That is
Mm-hmm.
the best spin on that heartbreaking loss that I've heard in the 24 hours since the game. So, yeah, here we are. We're recording round 520 on Monday, November 25th. It's Thanksgiving week, feast week. We're going to talk more basketball on this episode, but let's just start with football and get it out of the way.
This is
I
like whenever you go to the doctor and they say, we've got good news, we got bad news. What do you want first? You always take the bad news first. So we're going to get through the obligatory football parts, and then you can have the basketball parts as a reward. And on a high note. It
yeah,
is Thanksgiving after all.
if you're watching on video, like my lighting is Pitt basketball and Squid's lighting is Pitt football. Just terrible.
Mm.
But that'll do. No one comes here for the lighting, the video effects. They come here for not super well thought out thoughts about Pitt sports. So Pitt football falls to 7-4. They lose their fourth straight game after starting the season 7-0. And there's not much to be said in terms of positivity. I felt like coming into that game, the way they could salvage this season after the hot start and then kind of just stumbling here to the finish line would have been Eli Holstein getting back into a rhythm, being healthy, and looking solid, gaining some confidence going in these last 2 regular season games in the bowl game. Maybe give us some momentum going into the offseason. The first drive was pretty. They were going right down the field. They were in the red zone. Eli Holstein throws an interception directly to a Louisville Cardinal, and then nothing went well for the rest of the game. A series later, Eli Holstein snaps his leg. So not only did he not build any confidence or momentum, he also had what Pat Narduzzi said is not a season-ending injury, but something tells me that he may be lying to us.
I'd like to say that there's a butterfly effect universe where if Eli Holstein throws that pass into the end zone with any sort of touch and it's completed to come out on upfield for a touchdown, he doesn't break his leg, continues playing well. Pitt wins that game. We also beat Boston College next week. But that would be delusional of me to think. If Eli Holstein didn't get hurt, we probably still would have had all of our struggles. If he played the whole game and at least looked good and we lost, we could hang our hat on that. He got hurt. Then maybe there's people out there that think maybe if Nate Yarnell at least operates the offense pretty well, we can go into the offseason thinking that Cade Bell will figure things out. Another year in his system, some better guys. They're healthy next year, all this and that. But no, morale has plummeted even worse than it was before. I don't know how this team put up a fight against Clemson because they laid an egg against Louisville.
Yeah, and that game felt a little bit like the SMU game. Like Louisville just felt faster, bigger, more physical, more athletic. And I agree with you. I do think after Eli got rolled up on, that was the pin in the balloon to let out all the air. in that team. You could
The
tell on
cinder
the
block
sideline.
balloon.
Yeah, more than that. Cinder block on a camel's back, whatever you want it to be. And quite frankly, that was the cinder block that broke my back. I was watching the first half, getting ready in the hotel. I had a wedding this weekend, believe it or not. One of the Loyal Sons had a wedding on a Saturday in the fall. So I watched the first half, and then Pitt played poorly enough for me to say, you know what? I don't have to try to sneak this phone out during the ceremony or the reception. I'm going to ride off into the night. I looked to check the score. Probably a half hour later, saw that they hadn't made any progress in putting a dent into the Louisville lead. And can proudly say I have not watched the second half from that game yet, and I don't plan on it just yet.
It's kind of funny. We were sitting at Archie's. We had ourselves a wonderful day at Archie's before and after the game, during not so much. But we were sitting around a table with the games on, and there were Pitt fans who we were with that didn't know that Pitt got a safety at the end. Like, that's how tuned out we were. That's how, like, done with this game that we were. I mean, there's no hope. There was a moment when Pitt got that stop on 4th down to the 2-yard line. And you're like, it's not completely over. We score here. It's reasonable or respectable. I don't want to say reasonable, but it was respectable. Then, like, 3 plays later, Yarnell just throws a horrible interception and is like, yep, why didn't we see this coming?
Yeah, there's really not too much more we can say about this. I mean, the wheels have completely fallen off. There's a very real chance that this team finishes 7-5 or 7-6, I should say, after a 7-0 start. So I don't really know where that leaves us this offseason. We've said this phrase hundreds of times, I feel like, in the past few weeks, but given what our expectations were coming into this season, if we go into the offseason 7-6, I don't think there's going to be too many people feeling any good about that. I think we feel like we've reverted. We've regressed to the point where now there's questions about, is Cade Bell's offense going to work? There's questions about if we do have a quarterback in this program. There's questions about, can Narduzzi get this back on track? Because he sure seemed to mess this one up. So just a lot more questions than answers. I think if you can squeak one out against Boston College, get a cheap win in a bowl game, finish 9-4, we can all take a step back and be like, well, that wasn't as fun as it could have been, but it wasn't as disastrous as that could have been. But with the team I've seen, especially the team I saw on Saturday, I don't see too many bowl eligible teams out there that they'll be able to beat.
No, we'll just have to hope we get like a Michigan with 29 opt-outs and all of our guys play. That's what it would come down to. I think what's going to come down to is can Desmond Reed get 300 all-purpose yards next week, and can Kyle Lewis make every tackle? And if both of those things happen, we've got a great shot against Boston College and then in our future bowl game. Simple as that.
It's that easy. Okay. Any final thoughts on football, or can we move on from that? I think we're already over the amount of time we wanted to spend talking about the football team.
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious that we have been questioning if Cade Bell is the guy over the last 4 weeks, yet Oklahoma, who just beat Alabama by multiple scores, is going to interview him to be their OC. I don't want to get into that whole thing yet, but this offseason will be full of content.
If Cade Bell leaves us for Oklahoma after what we've seen the last month and a half, then so be it. Good luck, brother. It's just crazy that this team has been bowl eligible since October. But we have a big one on Saturday, 3 p.m. on the CW.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you'll have about 2 million TVs clicking away from the Ohio State-Michigan game over to the CW to catch that one.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, with that being said, Pitt does have a basketball team, a pretty damn good basketball team. And despite last night's loss in the Greenbrier tip-off championship, uh, dropping a 6-point loss to Wisconsin in a game that Pitt led by 14, as much as 14 in the first half, I'll be honest, I still feel really good about where that team stands. Definitely a missed opportunity. Pitt absolutely would have been ranked in the top 25 today had they pulled that one off against Wisconsin. Instead, they're the second team out, sitting at number 27 in the AP poll. And a big stretch coming up here. They've got Ohio State in Columbus on Friday, and then they go to Mississippi State the following Wednesday for the ACC SEC Challenge. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves with those games, let's talk a little bit about the Greenbrier itself, the whole tip-off tournament, and then the two games that Pitt played.
So the Greenbrier itself from the outside looks like a wonderful, expensive place. In the ballroom, when you put down a hardwood floor and shuffle around some chairs and bring in a couple rows of bleachers, it looks kind of ridiculous. And when you add on shot clocks not working, the video stream cutting out, the fat governor and his fat dog chilling courtside, it just was weird on its own. Then you throw in a stupidly annoying end of a basketball game on top of that, and it made me want to never go there in my life.
Well, I can almost guarantee that I will never personally be at the Greenbrier. I think it's for those in a different tax bracket. Also, after watching how last night unfolded, couldn't convince me to go there for free. Unless Pitt goes back and plays there again and we need to get our revenge. But yeah, I mean, there's no way they can play another tournament there next year after how poorly this one was ran. I mean, the shot clock debacle, just absolutely ridiculous. You had the PA announcer counting down at 15, at 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You had lights flickering mid-possession going on and off above the players on the court. Obviously, with a minute left in a very tight ball game, the stream just went out and we got some mixed, crappy audio for about 30 seconds of game time, and then they showed us the end of the game. All in all, Greenbrier may just need lit on fire, take the insurance money and run. But yeah, in terms of the basketball, overall, a good weekend for Pitt.
Yeah, we can't forget the LSU game. That happened. That exists. It happened. It is on our resume, and no blown second half against Wisconsin can change that. So we're down right now, but overall, we like what we saw.
Yeah, I think everyone's immediate reaction to watching the LSU game was, well, this camera angle sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pitt played a okay first half, but then ended up going into the half down 1. But from that point on, basically just dominated an LSU team who I was a bit scared that they were going to be blown out by UCF in the third place game, but they ended up coming back and rallying to win in 3 overtimes. So good thing is that looks like that LSU game of 11-point win looks like it could end up being a pretty big win for this Pitt team. And it was probably Jalen Lowe, despite Jalen Lowe's struggles in the first half of that game, probably his best game as a Panther. He had 22, 6, and 8, and really just kind of dominated the entire second half.
My biggest takeaway is just the overall high points of this team and how good they looked whenever they were really dialed in, locked in, making plays on both ends of the floor. That was really reassuring. These early games are great if you can win them. These early games basically just mean how difficult is or how hard are we to make it on ourselves to make the tournament. So if we win a few of these games, it gets a little bit easier. If we drop 3 or 4, we're going to make it really hard on ourselves. So just win the games you're supposed to win, come out above 500 in this upcoming stretch, and I think that's a success. But back to the initial point I was trying to make was how good they looked at times. Jalen Lowe played his best game. Itch Leggett had 21 or 22 against LSU. Cam Corn in the pick and roll looked unstoppable for a while. They played amazing defense in the first half against Wisconsin, so I might just chalk this up to being a weird environment with a lot of fouls, and we'll learn from it and won't let it happen again.
Yeah, I think in terms of the eye test and what I'm seeing from this Pitt team, I don't really feel any worse about them after the Wisconsin game. I think, like you said, it was kind of a weird, wacky game. Um, Pitt fans, Pitt media, we've all been blaming and crushing the refs for about 24 hours now. Just the way that game was officiated, the way Tanja was basically able to just put his head down and get a foul call anytime he pleased. Game was definitely reffed a weird way, but then also, Pitt went 5 for 23 from 3 in a ballroom with some odd sight lines, going in the same direction that Wisconsin shot 0 for 10 from 3 in the first half. So I don't know. Was it something weird there? Does this team shoot better in a normal arena or gym and those couple threes go down and this is a different result? Not sure. I mean, both teams had to play in the same gym, so there's no excuses there. But in terms of what I saw from them, I mean, I think this Wisconsin team is probably going to be one of the better teams in the Big Ten this year. They're ranked 15 in the AP poll right now. Obviously, some high praise for them there. And I think anyone who watched that game, Pitt plays this team in a 7-game series. That would go probably to 7 games. There wasn't much separation between the talent levels and the competitive levels between the two teams.
We didn't even address perhaps the biggest storyline. Pitt did all of this without Damian Dunn.
In both games almost.
I don't know how he played as little as he did against LSU, getting all those fouls, but he could never get into a rhythm. And then we were excited to have him back, excited to see how good they look with him against Wisconsin, and then almost right off the jump, he's out too.
2 minutes. 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, so that was quite unfortunate. I know Damian Dunn won't be returning there. That place is cursed for him.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's planning any long weekend trips there anytime soon. Probably never wants to set foot in the state of West Virginia again.
So after seeing Wisconsin and how they look, they are going to be one of the 2-3 best teams in the Big Ten. They might even win it. I don't think that's out of the question. But Pitt starters shot 2 for 17 from 3. Damian Dunn played 2 minutes. And we still think that's a game that we let slip away. So early in the year, some things to take away, some good and bad. I'm glad we had a test early and we didn't have a Jamie Dixon non-conference schedule where you don't know how good you are until it's time to play the big boys.
Yeah, and the good thing is the metrics still think really highly of Pitt right now. I know KenPom, we have our complaints about KenPom too, but while they think highly of Pitt, we're going to use them to our advantage. Still ranked number 17 in KenPom, despite dropping that game last night. So that's a really good spot to be in. And like we said, a few more good opportunities on the horizon. Just a little bit more on the Damian Dunn injury. We haven't said it on here, but most people know who are following Pitt basketball closely. Jeff Capel announced that he sprained his ankle and also dislocated his thumb. So not really sure what that timeline looks like. Unfortunately, sprained ankles can go from, out for a few days while he gets iced up, rice it up, or, kind of a lingering injury that may never heal throughout the course of the season. So let's hope for a low-grade sprain. But one glass half full take I have on it is the Damian Dunn injury ripped the Band-Aid off and making Jeff Capel play Amsel Delalich legitimate minutes in a game that mattered. It seemed like he was hesitant to trust him to put him out on the floor. But between the Dunn injury and the foul trouble last night, he had no choice but to give Amsel some real minutes. He played 16 minutes in that game, and he made the most of them.
Yeah, I'm not ready to put him on the other team's number one, number two, number three, or number four scoring option. But on the offensive end, he is definitely going to be valuable to us. He got a couple rebounds, uh, and most importantly, knocked down some threes when basically nobody else could. So that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, 9 points, a rebound, assist, 4 for 4 from the field, knocked down a 3 in 16 minutes of playing time. Uh, I thought not even one of his buckets, but one of his assists to Zach Austin late. He drove baseline, threw a one-handed pass to the corner, and Zach Austin catch and shoot knocks it down. I think that play really highlights probably his biggest value to this team, because quite frankly, it feels like no one can generate much for their teammates other than Jalen Lowe right now. It seems like a lot of the playmaking burden is on Jalen Lowe's shoulders, and rightfully so. He's a potential NBA guy, so they want him to do a lot. But feels like most of the time with the other guys, Ish Leggett mostly looking to get himself a bucket. Cam Corhan and the bigs obviously aren't creating much for the others. Brandon Cummings even is really just wired to score coming off the bench. So giving another playmaker, ball handler, even if Amsel's not going to run the point, having a playmaker on the wing who can make some things happen, I think can be super valuable for this team offensively.
Yeah, we're not as deep as we thought we were, I guess. We're still around like that same like number of guys deep. I don't think we're going to be seeing Jorge or Papa Conte unless like things are bad. So it's important for these guys to stay healthy, and it's important to have guys like Amsel and Brandon Cummings on the bench ready to go. And it's good to know that they can hang around. I don't know if they're going to have a good game every game, but there'll be times when we'll need them to step up, and there's a chance they do.
Yeah, we had heard in the offseason a little bit that they were probably going to end up with an 8-man rotation. And I think it's safe to say that the 8 are um, the guys who are playing the most right now. The starting 5 plus Zach Austin, Delalich, Brandon Cummings. It's taken Delalich some time here to get acclimated. Obviously, with the hand injury, that kind of set him back a little bit. But I think ultimately, once Damian Dunn gets healthy, we will see a top 8 of those guys, those 8 guys. And like you said, I mean, it's pretty clear that Papa is just not ready to play at this level. He's very raw and hopefully can be a contributor in a year or two. Uh, Jorge's been in the program for 3 years now, and unfortunately, the improvement hasn't been there. I know he hit the 4 threes against VMI, but if he's not, catching, shooting, hitting shots, it's tough to find where his value is right now. So I think it's safe to say we'll go into March with that 8-man rotation if they can stay healthy. And it's an 8 I feel pretty good about.
For sure. Just if you're feeling down about yourselves, Pitt fans, watch the second half of the LSU game and just watch like the first 10-ish minutes of the Wisconsin game. And that is a team that can hang with anybody. And I hate to say this because it goes against the ACC superiority propaganda that we like to throw out there. The ACC is not looking all that hot this year either. So Duke and Carolina are going to be Duke and Carolina. Miami doesn't look as good as some people thought they would. Virginia
They
looks
look bad.
horrible. So that number 3 spot in the ACC, who knows? I'm not saying we don't beat out UNC. I think we could hang with the big boys, but if we play at that level, if that's a gear that we can hit regularly, I feel really good about our chances. Uh, and other people do too. It isn't just a Pitt thing. I've seen some of the, I hate this word, the bracketologists were saying it in November, but some of the bracketologists I follow that aren't Joe Lenardi have Pitt still as like a 5, 6, 7 seed right now in their brackets. So it's not just us. These aren't our blue and gold tinted glasses. Other people have noticed how good Pitt is, and we just got to take advantage of the upcoming situations we have. And don't make it impossible on ourselves come conference play.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the next opportunity they have is coming up here on Friday, Black Friday. They have the Ohio State Buckeyes in Columbus. I know some people are making the road trip up for that 3-hour trip. Very doable. So go support, root on the Panthers. And yeah, that's a huge win if they can go get that one. Like I mentioned, Ohio State right outside the top 25. They're currently 29th if you're counting the teams and the others receiving votes in the AP poll. Another team who is pretty highly ranked. They're actually right below us, 18th in Ken Palm right now. So this is another game that could very well end up being like a Q1 game when it comes time to breaking down the resumes and all that. So to go on the road and get a win there would be absolutely massive. So what do you think, Squid? Do they have to split these next two against Ohio State and Mississippi State? And I guess have to is kind of loaded because, like, do they have to do it to make the tournament? Probably not, but it makes things a whole lot easier
Yeah,
when it comes to that time.
I don't be sweating bullets every single game come conference play. So if we split both of these two, I think we come out of it fine. It probably improves the overall perception of Pitt if we only lose one of two of the next games. So we can say we beat LSU, lost to Wisconsin and Ohio State, and beat Mississippi State. I think that's fine. But if we win the next two, we're in great position. I don't think we'll be close to the bubble. Just get off the bubble. If we drop these next two and don't look that impressive early in ACC play, we're going to be on the bubble, and it's going to take a lot to get off.
Yeah, the way I look at it right now, Pitt will play 12 games in 2024 and then in 2025. So split these two, and then you finish off after the road trip. Well, not the road trip isn't quite over. You have Virginia Tech on Saturday, December 7th, but that Virginia Tech team looking very rough. They actually just dropped the game to, well, they lost both to Jacksonville, and then they got spanked by Penn State the week before that. So they're kind of limping along here. So that's a game you really can't lose. You got to go down there and take care of business, start out 1-0 in the ACC. But yeah, I think if you go into 2025 with a 10-2 record, and then you really just gear up into conference play, Pitt has a really good chance to set themselves up for success in a down ACC. So a lot of optimism, a lot of reasons to be excited, and everyone, I know we're worked up about the officials, we're worked up about the Greenbrier, we're worked up about last year's disrespect, but let's take a deep breath because this Pitt Hoops team is pretty damn good. Well, Squib, before we sign off here, it is Thanksgiving week, so I think we should just take some time to just talk about some of the things that we're thankful for as the Loyal Sons.
Yeah, it's funny to think if Thanksgiving was, I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago, this list would look a lot different. But here we are, end of November. The state of the universe is how it is. I'm thankful that we have a highly respected basketball out of conference schedule. Because apparently that's what matters the most in the world of college basketball. If you don't have a good one, you can't overcome it. Jeff Capel, good job scheduling.
Yeah, and I'm going to knock on some wood here because I don't think we thought West Virginia or Missouri would be the dumpster fires that they turned out to be last year. I mean, Missouri ended up being quite literally the worst Power 5 basketball team in the country, which just absolutely crushed any hopes we had. So let's hope Wisconsin doesn't just completely fall apart here and finish with like 10 wins. I don't think that's going to happen, but fingers crossed there. I do want to give a thanks for at least one member of our football team, and I'm just going to say Kyle Lewis because he has been so unbelievably good this year, and I feel like at this point there's definitely been some hype around it, and I appreciate Chris Peak and Jim Hammett and some of the other local media pick guys who are kind of pushing for him to be an All-American because he absolutely deserves it. He was snubbed off the Nagurski semifinalist list. So Kyle Lewis, we're thankful for you. We're hoping that you end up. Well, I would love to see him in a Pitt uniform next year, but I don't know. I think the NFL teams are going to get into that tape, and he'll be playing on Sundays next year. So I'm thankful for Kyle Lewis.
Yeah, it is a blessing watching him play linebacker. What's next? I'm thankful for at least one of Pitt's sports teams being really, really good, and by really, really good, I mean number one overall, and that's the Pitt volleyball team. Thank you for winning basically all of the time. That's always nice and refreshing.
Yeah, it's always a nice little cleanse in the group chat when it's like, oh, we just watched this terrible football game and the refs pissed us off in the basketball game, but someone just drops in like, oh, the volleyball team swept another opponent.
Mm.
It's always nice to see. I am thankful. Here's another Pitt athlete I'm very thankful for, Cam Corhan. He hasn't been perfect by any means, but he had a really good game last night against Wisconsin, and he is an absolute threat on the offensive end. As a lob threat, he can even create for himself a little bit in those one-on-one situations, and it is such a breath of fresh air compared to what we saw at the center spot the last couple of years. I mean, Federico, I appreciate your contributions to the program, but seeing Jalen Lowe weave in and out of the pick and roll and being able to just throw the ball in the vicinity of the rim, and Cam Corhan goes and grabs it and dunks it. And Cam Corhan has to be pretty thankful for Jalen Lowe for setting him up for all these easy buckets. But it was just so apparent in the past years that like the guards just weren't ready to trust Federico to go catch that ball. More than likely going to bounce off his hands or come down with it, fumble a layup, something like that. So I'm thankful for Cam Corhan and his athletic ability and coordination.
I'm thankful for football, but specifically, I'm thankful that Pitt isn't playing football on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that would be.
So there's just uninterrupted, stress-free football on Thursday. Don't have to worry about any outcomes. Just be fat, eat food, lay down, soak it all in.
I'm thankful for Archie's and Archie himself. It can be overly difficult to find a good place to watch a Pitt sporting event in Pittsburgh where you know that they're going to have the game on. You can rely on the sound being on, and you can get good food and cheap beer. Way too often, I feel like we have to like resort to like begging a bar beforehand to, hey, are you guys going to have this game on? Are you sure? Like, that's why Archie's is just the home base. It's no reason to really stray.
Can't go wrong with Archie's. When you're tired
Anything.
of leftover Thanksgiving turkey, just roll right back into wing night at Archie's.
All right. Anything else we're thankful for, Squid, before we sign off?
I guess just all of our listeners.
Look at that. Maybe a little cheesy, but I'm thankful for anyone who listens to the Loyal Sons, supports the Loyal Sons. It's always fun. It's definitely added a wrinkle to my Pitt fandom when someone comes up, it's like, hey, Loyal Sons, we listen to your show, and then we chop it up about Pitt for 5-10 minutes. Always enjoyable, always appreciate it. And if you're thankful for the Loyal Sons and you like listening, please subscribe, like this video like this podcast, rate us anywhere you're listening. And just continue to support the pod. We appreciate you all, even through the ups and downs, even through 4-game football losing streaks. Those loyal listeners, you guys keep showing up. So we appreciate you and we're thankful. All right, we'll leave it there. Everyone have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with your friends, your family. Enjoy some non-Pitt football. And then Black Friday rolls around. We've got some Pitt hoops. So wake up out of your Squid. You give me one more here.
Yeah, we got to give our prediction for the games this week. Is Pitt going to go 2-0?
Thought we were gonna get away with not doing this. All right. what order we want to go to? Chronological, basketball, then football, or football, then basketball?
Basketball, football.
All right, basketball. I think the Pitt Hoops team gets back on track. I think we have a breakout game for Amsel Delalich. He's going to have to play major minutes. He's going to be a big contributor, and they're going to be back in a real arena, and they're going to walk into Columbus and get out of there with a victory. Give me a 71-66 victory on Black Friday over the Buckeyes. Aaron Bradshaw, big man for Ohio State, transferred from Kentucky. He's no longer with the team at this point. He's suspended, and it was very oddly worded in the announcement tweet. It said something to do with federal privacy laws. Ohio State couldn't give out the nature of his suspension, so there's a lot of speculation there what it could be about. But he won't be with the Buckeyes. 7-foot rim protector.
Yeah, I'll also say Pitt wins. They're going to have a sour taste in their mouth after how the Wisconsin game ended, and they will get revenge on the Big Ten. I'm going to predict 77-68. I don't know if Damian Dunn will be back. I highly doubt it. Apparently, he hurt his ankle and hand. So I don't know if he's going to be back just yet, but despite that, I think we come out on top.
Now football.
I thought no matter what happened this season, we'd always just be able to hang our hat on beating Boston College in the last game of the season. But after how our season unfolded and after seeing they scored 41 last week with their backup quarterback, I'm just going to predict my first loss of the season. Pitt's going to lose to Boston College's backup quarterback in the last game of the year to cement losing out in the regular season. They're going to lose 31-24.
Yeah, I just think there's no chance this game is that aesthetically pleasing for that many points to be scored. This is going to be a terrible, ugly, just horrible football game. And Pitt's going to win. They're going to win this one 17-13 in Boston. We won't even come away all that happy about winning the game. We're going to be like, wow, that was terrible. I can't believe they won. But they are going to win, and they're going to get the 8 wins. I'm taking our Panthers. And hopefully we roll into next week with a little pep in our step. Well, probably not much, but I don't know. 8-4 with a chance to get 9 in a bowl game, I would feel good about. But quite frankly, I would trade. I would be okay with them losing 49-0 if it meant the basketball team beat Ohio State on Friday. If I could lock that in right now.
Yeah, it's a good trade.
I'd take it. All right. Now we can wrap up.
Let's get out of here.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving, family and friends, and then Friday morning, grab some leftovers, make yourself a nice big plate, and sit on the couch and watch Pitt basketball at 2:30 against the Ohio State Buckeyes. And then mentally prepare yourself for about 24 hours later to watch the football team. As always, thank you for listening, and hail, loyal sons of Pittsburgh.